There are tons of things we can predict will be in the next Smash Bros. Game. We can all ponder what new stages, new items, new modes, and whatnot will be added, with stages even being the subject of my first video. However, the thing people really care about are, well, they're characters. People care about characters. Smash Bros. Is centered around characters. It's built around characters. Smash Bros. Is characters. It's called Smash Bros. It's not called Smash Items or Smash Stages. It's Smash Bros. It's about the characters. So in my second video regarding Smash Switch, I'll be looking into what I think the roster could look like. Now, just because I think these characters have a fair shot, doesn't mean I think the characters you want won't exactly make it in. There hasn't been a single roster I've seen so far where I felt the choices for the characters weren't actually plausible. Every single roster I've seen, I think each character does have a fair shot for the most part. These characters that I'm about to present to you are characters I simply think will get in based on my own personal guidelines framed around what I think Sakurai would do. Now, to reiterate, these guidelines are not exactly guidelines used by Sakurai. They're simply guidelines I feel may be used by Sakurai, and I will be framing my roster around them as such. What I'm trying to say is Sakurai might use these guidelines, and I'm predicting that he would, simply because of the patterns and the things in previous games that I found to probably occur the second time here. It doesn't mean that it will, though. You know, for all we know, Sakurai could go completely against these, and it was all just a coincidence. We don't know. However, I'm going to use these guidelines, but don't think that I'm saying that Sakurai definitely does, because a lot of arguments can be used against these. And I'm going to go into it. So what are the 4 guidelines? Well, number 1, relevancy matters. And sure, not every character has to have a game or have been in a game within the past few years, but most of the characters that have been added in previous games have had a game within recent years, or have had a significant role in a game. Number 2, characters can't be too new. And yes, Greninja was added in Smash 4, and I know it's a common argument saying that, you know, a lot of the newer characters have a chance, and I do agree that they have a chance. I feel like Greninja, in the end, is definitely an outlier for this rule, rather than proving the rules insignificant. The lack of Villager's new Leaf design, and the lack of 3D World content and more make it seem like Sakurai doesn't always get let in regarding new games and releases before they're officially revealed, or even released. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean the characters from super recent games can't get in, but for the most part, it seems like they're less likely to than they are likely. This is just based off of what I've seen and what I feel, but it doesn't mean that we won't see characters from games that maybe haven't even come out yet. We could. And number 3, will be kind of weird, you know? Choose characters that nobody's really expecting. Choose characters out of left field and that people really wouldn't think to be in Smash Bros. And yes, I'm going to choose characters you won't hear as much too. I mean, that's why I'm kind of making this. And why? Well, it makes it interesting, you know? There are always tons of, like, WTF characters in Smash. I mean, look at Wii Fit Trainer. I mean, that wasn't... It's so WTF, it's WFT. I think, a shout out to Game Explain. I think they made that joke before.
But there is one more type of character that every new Smash Brothers needs. The WTF one. Not to be confused with the WFT one.
I'm sorry for stealing your joke. I mean, nobody was expecting Duck Hunt Dog, Mega Man, or Greninja in Smash 4, so I feel like we can expect the unexpected this time around. And number 4, keep within the realm of presumed possibility. Obviously, I'm not going to be predicting characters like Goku or SpongeBob or... Sure. You know what I mean. Not that I think that they can't happen, because, I mean, sure, in a weird alternate reality where Nintendo publishes Dragon Ball Z games, Goku might be in Smash Bros., but Nintendo doesn't publish Dragon Ball Z games. And they probably never will. But if they do, you know, in Smash, like, 70... where we're all dead, and Nintendo owns everything, even Disney.
My body is ready.
It might happen, you know? And like I said, one more time, I want to reiterate, these are not Sakurai's guidelines. These are my guidelines, framed around what I feel like Sakurai would do. So with that out of the way, let's get into all the characters that I think could be in Smash Switch. They probably won't be, though. I'm pretty sure they won't be. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker was one of the closest things we had in the Wii U to a new IP. And yeah, sure, Captain Toad was just another Mario character, but I mean, having a game that didn't star Mario or Link or whatnot, and actually had a very unique and very new gameplay style, makes me feel like a character from said game would fit in perfectly in Smash. And Captain Toad is that character. And while I don't exactly know how Captain Toad would work, mainly because the main gimmick of his games involves not jumping, I feel like Sakurai would know how to make him work perfectly. The port of the game on the Switch and the 3DS also makes it seem like the series has a future, and it wasn't just a one-off appearance. And I feel like he definitely has a shot. I know a lot of people want characters like Waluigi, Daisy, and Paper Mario, and I actually want all three of them way more than Captain Toad. And I mean, I like the little guy, but like, Waluigi's awesome, Daisy would probably have an awesome moveset, and I mean, Paper Mario is Paper Mario. That's one of my favorite series of all time. But Waluigi and Daisy never really had big games. They've always just been side characters. And while I would love to play as them, Captain Toad just makes the most sense to me out of the three. And Paper Mario, I think, well, there's an issue with the technology there. I know the main reaction to this is, well, Game & Watch works. And it's true. Game & Watch does work. But Game & Watch actually is a 3D model. And it's squished to appear like it's 2D. You know, think of like the Flat Zone stage. So that kind of technology actually wouldn't work with Paper Mario at all, because Paper Mario isn't just a 3D model turned 2D. He's a 2D sprite moving on a 3D plane. So I'm really unsure how it would work, and I feel like it kind of hurts his chances. Not that I think that he wouldn't happen. I feel like it just doesn't seem as likely to me. And we know hardware limitations have totally cut characters before. I mean, look at Ice Climbers. Dixie Kong finally reappeared in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze back in 2014. However, I feel like Smash 5 is the perfect opportunity to finally give her the spotlight. Now, I know that people might be thinking, how would she work as a Diddy clone? And other people are thinking, well, Dixie Kong should have her own moveset. And I agree with both of those. However, I feel like it's best to reuse Diddy Kong as much as possible, so most development can be gone into new characters and such. Overall, only a couple moves from Diddy really need to be tweaked. For example, giving Dixie Kong an up B similar to Donkey Kong's up B, switching out the peanut pop gun for a bubblegum pop gun, and switching a couple of the jabs and attacks that use Diddy Kong's tail for maybe a hair swipe is all you'd have to do to make Dixie Kong feel unique. The next character I have is actually another character from Tropical Freeze. I'm predicting that Cranky Kong will make an appearance. His crane attack, I feel, could inspire a really awesome and really fun moveset. I could see Sakurai choosing him to be added simply because of the moveset potential, and because Tropical Freeze was a recent game that is even getting its port to the Switch now. The next character I'm going to discuss is another one that a lot of people aren't going to like, but this one is more or less a character that I kind of pulled from that weird left field, kind of getting inside of what I feel like would be Sakurai's approach. And that is A Link Between Worlds Link. And I know a lot of people are not going to want to hear this because they don't want to see 3 Links, and I don't really want to also, but I could totally see it happening, and I feel like it's a weird choice that nobody else is really going to predict. There'd be 2 things that I could think could happen. One of the things would be that Breath of the Wild Link would have a completely new moveset, and Link Between Worlds Link would hold his old moveset, make it 1-to-1 with how he played in Smash 4, or Breath of the Wild Link is kind of a hybrid between Breath of the Wild stuff and the original Link stuff, and A Link Between Worlds Link would simply use weapons and stuff from A Link Between Worlds. I just feel like having 3 Links, especially if Breath of the Wild Link were to be changed, would make a lot of sense, and I could totally see A Link Between Worlds Link happening.
You what?
The next character I have is Celissa from Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia, or Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. The point is, it was the most recent game that came out. I do know that it is a remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, and I know that there's also the issue with overrepresentation of Fire Emblem reps. However, we have gotten a new one in every game, so I feel like it would be weird not to include one, and I feel like including one from the most recent game makes sense, and she would definitely have a lot of potential. I apologize, I don't think I played much of the newer Fire Emblem stuff, so if there's a better character that was from Shadows of Valentia, definitely tell me what that character would be, but I'm gonna go with Celissa for now.
Are you okay?
What the fuck?
I feel like Slippy is one of the only characters that is prominent enough in Star Fox who wouldn't be super similar to Fox and Falco and would play quite differently. Now, although I wouldn't exactly consider Wolf a clone, he still has a very similar style to Fox and Falco. It's very much still using punches and guns, and where I feel like because of Slippy's more stubby and shorter limbs, he would have to have a very different kind of moveset to work, And I feel like because of Star Fox Zero being a recent game, including a character from a game that has a very different moveset from Fox and Falco would be really cool. And Slippy could also be seen as that kind of like joke, funny character, like Wii Fit Trainer or Jigglypuff that like, not even that nobody was expecting, but also that everyone just thinks is really funny. And I feel like Wolf could totally be DLC down the road. I feel like he's probably just as likely. I just didn't want to put on both because I was already putting in too many characters, but Wolf could probably totally happen too. I'm not saying he's not going to happen. But I'm going to predict Slippy because, why not go like the weird route? I'm going to choose Sceptile as one of the new Pokemon reps. Now, Sceptile was a character that a lot of people were asking for back in 2016 when the ballot was around. Mainly because they wanted a new grass-type starter, but also because ORAS had recently come out and it was drawing in a lot of excitement around the Pokemon community. With that said, that could have inspired Sceptile to be added in this game due to the ballot results, but ORAS was also a somewhat recent game when development started back in 2016. It's very similar to Fire Red and Leaf Green before Brawl, where they added the Pokemon trainer to kind of like represent that game, and then they added Lucario to represent the Gen 4 games. And I feel like Sceptile and a Gen 7 rep makes a lot of sense this time around. So, well, if Sceptile is the grass-type starter, then you wouldn't be choosing Decidueye, right? Yeah, I chose Lycanroc. I feel like Decidueye is really likely, and he probably won't end up getting in, but I wanted to be different, so I did Lycanroc. Duskform would be pretty cool. Yes, I decided to add 2 Xenoblade characters to my roster. Now, first they added Elma for a few reasons. One is that back in 2016, when development on Smash Switch, presumably it started, Elma would have been from a very recent title, being Xenoblade X. And because of this, I feel like the hype and the attention surrounding the game around that time that would have inspired a character from said game to be chosen. Sakurai had also purchased a mech toy back in 2017 to use as a model for his current project, the game we now know as Smash Switch, and people assumed that mech toy was used in reference to a mech from Xenoblade Chronicles X, which would then likely be used as a part of Elma's final Smash, or maybe somehow incorporated into her moveset. I also threw in Rex and Pyra, and I know I've been trying to like choose a lot of characters people haven't been talking about as much, but I just kind of threw them in there because why not? I don't think I have anything else to say that hasn't already been said about these two. Unique moveset from a really relevant game, etc., etc. Moving on, next up is Chibi Robo. I know a lot of people want this guy. I want this guy. Just put him in there. Enough said. The next characters is the character that was actually somewhat leaked to have been worked on in Smash 4, and because I feel like hardware limitations would have been the reason why they didn't make it in. And that is not exactly the Chorus Men, but what I would like to consider the Rhythm Trio from Rhythm Heaven on the Wii. These 3 guys are Marshall, Miss Ribbon, and Cam. Now, the main reason I feel like these 3 would be in over the Chorus Kids is because they actually had a trophy in Smash Wii U that said that they might be related to the Chorus Men. And, well, Rhythm Heaven on the Wii was just a more recent game, and I feel like they just have a lot more personality to them. That does matter when Sakurai chooses his characters. Instead of being 3 identical-looking dudes, it's 3 different people in one character, and I feel like that would allow for a much better, much more vibrant, much more entertaining moveset, and I feel like that's why they would have a better shot. With that said, I could really see these guys or the Chorusmen making it in. A Rhythm Heaven rep, I think, is definitely going to happen. Out of all the characters, I think this is the one that should happen the most, because Rhythm Heaven is an awesome series, but more importantly, having a rhythm-based character in Smash Bros. Would lend itself to having one of the most unique movesets. And I would love it, and I think a lot of people would love it. The next character is one that I think a lot of people aren't going to be happy with, and that is Tails. I know a lot of people think that a lot of third parties shouldn't have 2 reps, and I don't think that they should or they shouldn't. I feel like considering the size of the Sonic community, at least one of the Sonic characters would have gotten pretty high on the ballot. Tails is by far the most iconic, and he'd probably have a pretty entertaining moveset, and I feel like he just fits in with all the third parties. Next, we have Rayman. Right around the DLC era of Smash Bros., a lot of people wanted Rayman, and I feel like that definitely does boost his chances a lot. We all know why, of course. Ubisoft is very much supporting Nintendo, and Nintendo and Ubisoft have an amazing relationship right now. Ubisoft is made a Mario game with the rabbits and stuff, and Nintendo's like really chill with it. Miyamoto's showing up in like their E3 presentation, and it doesn't mean much, but I don't know. I feel like a Ubisoft character really does fit in now. I feel like before seeing, Pac-Man, Mega Man, Sonic, Mario, and Rayman felt a little, I don't want to say odd, but I felt like Rayman definitely wasn't living up to, like, the other characters who were, like, basically mascots for their consoles, and Rayman was kind of like just, like, a really awesome platforming mascot, but nothing of the same scale. But I think seeing characters like Ryu and Cloud and Bayonetta, Rayman doesn't actually stand out as much anymore, and he actually fits in much better. So I feel like Rayman definitely has a shot this time around. The next character is Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I didn't actually think Sora was going to be in the game, but I saw somebody on Reddit post like a really, really detailed couple paragraphs about how Sora's chances are actually really high now, considering the fact that like, Nintendo and Square have kind of like, started working together again, considering the fact that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out soon, so Square would probably want to promote that game as much as possible, and considering the fact that Sora probably got really high on the ballot, and I could totally see him making the cut. So now let's move on to the 2 retro reps. Now, retro reps are kind of following a somewhat pattern. Melee, Brawl, and 4, for the most part, have 2 retro reps. They have a character that represents hardware, and they have a character that represents software. Specifically, like they represent a game on the NES. So what were the software reps? Well, I would say those were Ice Climbers, Pit, and Little Mac. So, hardware reps, you're probably wondering what I mean by hardware reps. Well, I mean, Mr. Game & Watch represents the Game & Watch. Rob was an NES accessory. He wasn't even a game. And lastly, Duck Hunt was very tied to the NES Zapper. And the NES Zapper, I think, is more so representing the Duck Hunt than the game Duck Hunt is represented. Because a lot of the moves are taken from other NES games, and the Zapper is heavily incorporated into their moveset, with kind of like the presumption that there's somebody shooting at the screen with the Zapper. So, what are like the 2 reps that I think will make it in? Well, I think there will definitely be a rep that represented a famous NES game, at least in Japan, that being Takamaru. Now, Takamaru was considered for almost every game leading up until this point, but Sakurai never added him due to him not being really well known in the West. However, Takamaru recently got his NES game ported to the 3DS, so a lot of American audiences could play it, but he was also an assist trophy in Smash 4, so now he's a really well-known name in the Western audience. And I think a lot of people are not only expecting him, but I think a lot of people also really want him in the new game. So what is the last fully new character that I think will be in the game? Well, Sheriff from the arcade stuff. Before Donkey Kong, before the Game & Watch, before all that, Nintendo made arcade cabinets. And Sheriff was one of those arcade games. He's one of the oldest NES games, and there were a few and a decent number of arcade cabinets that Nintendo made before Donkey Kong, before all the NES stuff, that I think his moveset could pull from. I'd like it to be a very similar character to Game & Watch, but representing an even more obscure set of games, and I feel like he'd have a really unique and a really interesting moveset. So now that we're done with that, let's move on to the 3 other clones that I haven't discussed yet. And these aren't characters that I exactly want to see, it's characters that I think, like, some weird stuff that I think could totally happen. First one is Plistle and Minun, being another Gen 3 Pokemon rep. And the next clone is Elf from Pikmin 3. I could see him being promoted up to a clone. I mean, why not at this point? Giving Pikmin another character would be really cool. And the last character, the last clone, the last everything, is Yarn Yoshi. Sakurai would do it. He would. Hey guys, I just finished the video. It took way longer than I thought it would. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me and all that. And I want to say it's weird. It's so close to E3, and I started this thing so long ago, and I'm so excited. And I can't wait until E3 to see what they're going to announce for Smash, and I hope you guys are excited too, and ready to see what Nintendo's got in store. So, yeah, here's to a good E3, and I'll see you guys on the other side, I guess.